Wars Expanded Universe can be an intimidating thing, even after the continuity reset Disney introduced in the build-up to Episode 7's release in 2015. Cheekily dubbed the Explaining Universe by some fans for the fact it leaves no stone unturned and answers questions that probably didn't need answers to begin with, it has nevertheless conjured some seriously brilliant stories over the years, and comics are right at the center. Although previously published by Dark Horse Comics, Marvel has once again taken the reins on Star Wars since 2015, fleshing out the new expanded canon with tales focusing on the likes of Darth Vader and the iconic trio of the original trilogy in Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Princess Leia. Not every comic might be a home run, but if you roll your chance cube and give them a shot, you're bound to have your mind blown in one way or another. I'm Ewan, this is What Culture Comics, and here are 10 Star Wars comics moments that shocked the world. The Force is with us. What Culture Star Wars is our brand new channel dedicated to all things Star Wars. We'll have all the usual lists, features, and news, plus there'll be ups and downs for all the latest shows and movies, and coverage on Star Wars novels and comics. Subscribe today via whatculture.com/Star Wars or search What Culture Star Wars on YouTube. Number 10. Vader and Luke dueled before Cloud City. The flagship title from Marvel's new era of Star Wars comics was, well, Star Wars, written by Jason Aaron with art from John Cassaday. Like the rest of Marvel's first wave of Star Wars books, Star Wars took place within the 3-year gap between A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back. Aaron, who at the time was in the midst of crafting a character-defining stint on Mighty Thor, didn't waste time at all in providing readers with a terrifying encounter, where Luke Skywalker comes face-to-face with Darth Vader for the first time. The duel occurs as Luke and the gang carry out a rebel mission on Cymoon 1. Vader arrives, and rather than listening to Obi-Wan's pleas for him to run away, Luke, still incensed by Kenobi's death and under the belief that Vader killed his father, ooh big yikes, decides to confront him on the spot. It goes about as well as you would imagine, with Vader disarming Luke in a split second before eventually realizing he's wielding his old weapon, putting the Dark Lord of the Sith on the path to discovering his son's true identity. Number 9. The tragic origins of Lobot. Set prior to the events of The Empire Strikes Back, Lando follows Billy D. Williams' eponymous rogue as he embarks on another scheme with his good friend Lobot. Unfortunately for both Lando and Lobot, the target in question turns out to be Emperor Palpatine's luxury space yacht, something they're only alerted to once they're aboard the vessel. With that wonderful premise in mind, Soul and Malieve's miniseries takes a spotlight to Lando's relationship with Lobot, the bald-headed cyborg who assisted Calrissian in Episode 5. Readers will immediately notice how Lobot is a lot chattier here than he was in the film, and it's because his cybernetic implants haven't yet taken hold. The series only has 5 issues to convey the relationship between Lo and Lando, but it does so spectacularly well, making the eventual moment where Lobot's transformation happens genuinely heartbreaking. As they investigate Palpatine's ship, Lobot is stabbed by an Imperial guard and is unable to prevent his cybernetic implants from consuming his mind. Number 8. Luke Skywalker's secret yellow lightsaber. One of the big unanswered questions from the sequel trilogy, and there were a lot, was how the Skywalker lightsaber found its way to Maz Kanata in The Force Awakens. The last audiences saw of it before that point was in Luke's severed hand hurtling towards a bottomless abyss after his duel with Darth Vader in Empire, so how did it eventually get to Takodana? The answer to this question was thankfully answered in the newest volume of the main Star Wars series. Flashing forward from the gap in between episodes 4 and 5 and instead taking place in the immediate aftermath of Empire, the new run shows that Luke's lightsaber was caught by a mysterious hooded figure as it plummeted to the depths below. Luke returns to Cloud City in a bid to find it, but proves unsuccessful, leaving before an Ugnaught worker stumbles across the weapon. The mysterious figure who first caught the Skywalker saber though, and who also reached out in the Force to contact the would-be Jedi, is revealed to be Verla, a Force-sensitive human who'd been trained by a survivor of the Jedi Purge. Verla eventually sends Luke to an old High Republic-era Jedi temple, where he retrieves a yellow lightsaber. Number 7. Why Vader obeyed Tarkin. The dynamic shared between Grand Moff Tarkin and Darth Vader in the original Star Wars was always a curious one. Vader, although clearly the most powerful person in the room and the Emperor's right-hand man, answered to Tarkin throughout the film, obeying orders right up until Peter Cushing's character perished in the first Death Star's destruction. Those familiar with the Clone Wars and some other expanded universe material will be aware of how Anakin Skywalker always harbored a respect for Tarkin. That respect would carry over once Skywalker succumbed to the dark side and became Darth Vader, but that still doesn't explain their relationship in Episode 4, so what happened? In yet another Charles Soule comic, look, he gets around okay, we see how Tarkin orchestrated a test for Vader before the events of A New Hope to see whether or not the Dark Lord of the Sith could ever be bested in combat. Using all his cunning, Tarkin lures Vader into a false sense of security by Zap Branniganing his men to be killed one after another, until eventually Vader wanders into a lightning field and is struck down on the spot. Tarkin declares victory, but not before Vader reaches out with the last of his energy and briefly force chokes them off. That stalemate is enough to earn the other's mutual respect, cementing the dynamic seed in Episode 4. Number 6. The Origins of the Knights of Ren. Soule's second most recent work, The Rise of Kylo Ren, was released in the wake of The Rise of Skywalker and delved deep into Ben Solo's fall. We get to see him and Luke as master and apprentice, learn more of their relationship with Lor San Tekka, and more importantly, the origins of the Knights of Ren. Soule, this time joined by artist Will Sliney, reveals how Ben came to lead the Knights and what really happened on the day he left the Jedi Order behind. The end result is our closest look yet at the makeup of the Knights of Ren, and the extent of Snoke's, Palpatine's, involvement in the destruction of Luke's Jedi Temple. Turns out the Knights of Ren followed a different Ren before Kylo, a maverick Force user strong in the dark side, and a figure who Ben obsesses over after an encounter years earlier. Following the destruction of the Jedi Temple, Ben kills Ren and takes on the name of Kylo, thus assuming control of the Knights and completing his fall to the dark side. Number 5. Aphra outsmarts Darth Vader. Kieran Gillen and Salvador Larroca's Darth Vader series represents the pinnacle of Marvel's Star Wars books, and part of that comes down to the brilliant cast of characters it introduced, chief among them, Dr. Aphra. Chelly Lona Aphra, the reverse Indiana Jones of the galaxy far, far away, finds herself in the employ of Vader and proceeds to have the most stressful time doing his bidding. And with the threat of death constantly looming should she fail, Aphra makes sure to remind Vader that her biggest fear is being ejected into space. She asks that if Vader has to kill her, then he does so with his lightsaber. Well, Vader being Vader, i.e. a huge dick, you can imagine he wasn't interested in obliging that request. In the concluding chapter of Gillen's run, Vader decides to finally do away with Aphra after she revealed his many deceptions to the Emperor. He whisks her away to an airlock and ejects her into space, no doubt satisfied the punishment given was sufficiently cruel. Only, we discover that Aphra has really outplayed the Sith Lord. Using gear acquired from a previous mission, Aphra is intercepted by her 2 droids plus Black Krrsantan, safe from the Empire's wrath, for the time being. Number 4. Han Solo's secret wife. You'd be hard-pressed to find a Star Wars character without a storied past, but for Han Solo, it was clear from the off that he had a lot of history. One thing that fans probably never imagined, though, was that Han would have been tied down in one of said imagined adventures. It's just not something the scoundrel type would really go for. And yet, Star Wars number 6 revealed just that. Han Solo had been married to a woman called Sana Starros, or at least that's what Sana claimed. The revelation came as a huge shock to readers, but it wasn't long until Sana revealed that it was all a lie. She and Han had held a fake marriage during a previous job, and she was just tracking him down to get paid, much to Leia's relief. Number 3. Everything that happened to Vader in between episodes 3 and 5. Yes, this is definitely a cop-out, and yes, that is absolutely fine. You know why? Because Darth Vader got up to an obscene amount of stuff in the decades between episodes 3 and 4. The aforementioned Gillen LaRocca run showed how Vader recovered after presiding over the biggest disaster in the Empire's history, that obviously being the destruction of the first Death Star. We see the Emperor attempt to replace his apprentice, Vader's own power-hungry schemes, and even how he's still battling with the light within. Seeing Vader react to the discovery of Luke's true identity is a particular highlight. The other Vader run by Charles Soule, entitled Dark Lord of the Sith, takes place in the wake of Revenge of the Sith, and pretty much devotes its entire time to showing how Vader became the most terrifying figure in the galaxy. And then there's Dennis Hopeless's Dark Vision series, which sees Vader flood entire cities and, in one occasion, even kill a gigantic fire-breathing shark-like creature called the Ender. Hey, and you thought the Crate Dragon was bad. Number 2. Anakin almost abandons the Jedi Order. Everyone knows that Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker didn't have the easiest of relationships as master and apprentice. Although the two would grow to become great friends, brothers even, the path getting there was fraught with peril, gun dark nests, and a whole lot of dark side angst. By the time Attack of the Clones comes around, it's been a whole 10 years since the events of The Phantom Menace. That's 10 years of training Anakin has undergone, and given the circumstances that landed him in Kenobi's care, it was inevitable there would be some issues. Charles Soule, it kind of goes without saying at this point, doesn't it, and Marco Cicchetto's Obi-Wan and Anakin comic explores but one adventure that took place during that 10-year gap, and reveals how close Skywalker was to walking away from the Jedi Order only 3 years after the events of Episode 1. The comic shows just how early Palpatine tried to get his hooks into the young Skywalker, watching his training and eventually even secretly whisking him away without the Council's knowledge. A conversation with Palpatine almost convinces Anakin, anxious of what became of his mother and frustrated by his own treatment by others at the temple, to leave the Order, which he expresses to Obi-Wan before a mission to Carnelian 4. Anakin obviously stays, but it's still unnerving to witness just how far back Palpatine's manipulation actually went. And number 1, the Amidalans. Padme Amidala is one of the most beloved characters in all of Star Wars, and one of the cooler things to see with the new expanded canon is the way in which it's integrated her legacy, and indeed the rest of the prequels, into the original trilogy, sometimes to shocking results. Greg Pak and Raphael Lenko's Darth Vader series from 2020 offers a great example of the EU's comprehensive approach to the saga. Set after Empire, it follows Darth Vader as he attempts to unearth the conspiracy of how the birth of his children was kept secret all these years. In the process, he comes across Sabe, one of Padme's handmaidens and body doubles, who still resides on Naboo. The moment was shocking primarily because Vader mistakes Sabe for his deceased wife. For at least a second, readers contemplated the thought that Padme might have been alive, even if said thought was quickly tossed to the side after applying even the tiniest bit of scrutiny. It turns out that Sabe had founded a resistance group called the Amidalans, whose one goal was to bring Padme's killer to justice. Spoilers, they don't achieve said goal, despite coming to the conclusion that Lord Vader was responsible, but this was still one of the greatest reveals from Marvel's Star Wars books. And that was our list on 10 Star Wars comics moments that shocked the world. Want to see more Star Wars content? Then please go check out What Culture Star Wars. It's a brand new channel dedicated to all things in the galaxy far, far away, with lists, news, reviews, podcasts, and more coming every week. You can't see me doing it, but I'm doing the Jedi mind trick wavy hand thing right now, so that means you have to go do it. Either way, I've been Ewan, thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye!